what inspired you originally to move to Los Angeles?
Actually, what's hilarious is it was Tommy Davidson. Um, I always have been into theater and like acting. I did a couple small things when I was in Minnesota, and he was adopted and came and did this like adoption fair thing we had for the county I worked for. And so that's where I met him. It was like him, Dante Culpepper, and some other people. And we became cool and friends, and we're sitting there talking. And he was like, well, if you want to act, you have to get out of Minnesota. Like, what are you doing? I said, well, I thought about LA, him and Han. He was like, no, dude, you have to come. So I went to LA a few times, like I think for All-Star Weekend and a couple other things just to visit. And he was like, this is where you need to be if you want to make this shit happen. And here I am.
So you came and hung out in LA with
Tommy Davidson.
Tommy Davidson, yeah, who has an amazing story. I've actually taken a class from Tommy Davidson like 15 years ago. And
he's amazing.
Yeah, what an amazing story. Can you talk a little bit more about that day and your first time performing, like when you found out your mother had just been diagnosed? And
oh my goodness, yes. So I was trying to spare you the details, but no, I love this story actually. Yeah. So my mom called me. I was at work. I was still at LA County, and I just left. I was like, I gotta go, and I went home, and I couldn't really figure out what it was I needed to do. And like I said, I had been going to comedy clubs all the time, and became friends with a couple of the bookers. So the club that I went to a lot was Sarah's. I don't know if you remember Sarah's, but it's on like Whitsec. It's in the Valley somewhere.
Okay, it's before my time.
Yeah, they did it was Kim Whitley and Buddy Lewis, and they hosted a night there. And because I was friends with the bookers, Carlton and Gooch, I called them and was like, put me on stage tonight. They were like, are you sure? I said, put me on stage. I'm going to tell you not to. Like, I'm going to get there and I'm going to say, don't put me on. I need you to call my name anyway, because I'm getting on stage tonight. And the whole day, I'm sitting up there trying to figure out, do I go by Vanessa Graddick? Do I go by Vanessa Janine? Do I put some dumb shit? I don't know. Do I go by Vanessa Sunflower Seeds? I didn't know what my name was supposed to be on stage. So I go and I finally get there or whatever. Before I go up, Dean Edwards, who is one of my favorite people in the world, goes on stage and destroys it. When I tell you people are falling out of their seats there, he was on for 30 minutes, killing the entire time. And I'm sitting up there like, oh, I'm not doing this shit. This is a wrap. I was about to leave. Then David Arnold, who you had on earlier this week, David Arnold sees, he's like, you're next. I say, yeah, I'm next. It's like, don't fuck this up, and just walks away. So they call my name. I get on stage. I don't know what I said, if I'm honest. It was the quickest 5 minutes of my life. I have no idea what happened or what came out of my mouth, but it must have been all right because I'm here 14 years later. And David has since apologized. Like, that's a friend as well. He was like, I didn't know it was your first time. I just thought I was being funny with comedians.
So it was a triumph. You felt great, though. Do you remember the feelings? Like,
amazing.
It was releasing. It was exactly what you needed.
It was everything I needed it to be. And I always say, like, I'm a strong believer in therapy, and people need to go to therapy. But when I don't, the stage works. Like, the stage stands in that gap to just be able to be your authentic self. And I mean, people have different styles of comedy. There are people who don't do that. Everything I say on stage is me. Like, there's no sugarcoating. I'm not telling stories about people that I know. I'm telling my personal stories.
I was going to ask, what is your comedic character on stage, and how's that different from the Vanessa Graddick off stage?
It's not. That's that's the crazy thing, is it's just not, because since it started as a way for me to express myself and a way for me to kind of get through some feelings that I didn't know how to get through, that's been my whole life. So my whole comedic career. So when I'm on stage, if I'm single, I'm talking about being single. If I get in a relationship, I'll talk about the relationship. I just talk about what's going on with me because it's as much for me as it is for my audience.